It is now time for our What's It Worth segment with Old Northeast Jeweler. And we talk a lot about watches, right? We know they can hold a lot of value, but what about military watches? Well, here's what Jeffrey Hess has to say about those.
Hi, thanks again for having me. My name is Jeffrey Hess, and I'm with Old Northeast Jewelers. And we're the What's It Worth people. We write a column in every Sunday's Tampa Bay Times, and this is a compilation of all the columns. So if you want to buy this book, it's available. Anyway, today we're going to talk about watches. Again, this is one of my favorite subjects. Tomorrow, by the way, or next week I should say, we're going to be talking about jewelry and also some other interesting artifacts. But today we're going to talk about military watches and why they're collectible. Here's a cool group of military watches that we've recently taken on for our sister company, Hess Fine Art. A military watch collector in St. Louis, Missouri, heard about us and how much we know about the subject and how well we do when we have our auctions. And he allowed us to sell for him a multi-six-figure collection of military watches. Some of these military watches will bring 20 to 30,000. Most of them will bring probably in the $50 to $2,000 range. But today we're going to show you a myriad of military watches from several different countries. We're going to start off with this one. This is a beautiful, beautiful watch made in Kiel, K-I-E-L. Now I'd like to show you the back. I'm not sure if you can see this. But all of these military engravings mean something and can be interpreted by military collectors. It tells you what country it was issued to, who it was issued to, the serial number of who it was issued to, etc. It's not really a watch, it's really a stopwatch. And these were used usually for armaments. Swiss made, but made for the Swiss and German market. This one is a very interesting watch. This is an Elgin made for the Japanese market. And it's upside down for a reason, so you could look down very quickly and see what the time was. It has a nice inscription on it as well. This is a Swiss-made watch, and this is a really cool watch. 23 jewels, made by Hamilton Watch Company, and it has a hacking feature. Maybe you watch some old movies and they talk about hack, and what that means is they want all the operatives in a particular military operation to have their watches on the exact time. So you pull out the crown, the second hand stops, everybody makes sure their watches are exactly on the same time, and then they push the crown back in and they all have the exact same time. It's called a hacking feature. And that's made for the American military. This is a very interesting watch made by Leonidas, made for Scandinavian military. This is a stopwatch. And this was an instrument. This was put on an instrument panel of a plane or a boat. I'm not sure which yet. I haven't completed doing my research on it. But this whole thing would fit into an instrument panel, and then you would reach up at the top and you would stop, start it, and fly it back from here. That was made for Scandinavian military. A lot of people didn't know that there were any militaries up in Scandinavia, but several of the countries did. And it's a very unusual watch made by Leonidas, which was a Swiss firm. Next we're going to go to a Junghans. It has some little disturbing imagery here, made for a certain German military that we won't mention. And Junghans is still in business today, and this was made for the German military. It's a stopwatch as well. This one's very interesting. This was made by Seiko. And Seiko has a very, very long, rich history. And this little itty-bitty watch was, in fact, a man's wristwatch. Some of the first men's wristwatches were just little tiny ladies' pendant watches that were converted. And I don't know if we can get in there and see it, but, oh, by the way, this has what they call a shrapnel cover to put over the crystal so it doesn't get broken in case of flying debris. And this little thing, if you look on the inside, probably can't see it, but right in there is an inscription in Japanese, which we have deciphered. I believe it says We have two Japanese-speaking researchers here, and I believe it says to my husband with love or something to that effect. And that's probably worth about, this could bring $800 to $1,000 just because of the interesting aspect of it. And last but not least is a big Seiko when they were called Seikosha back in the day. By the way, Seiko made clocks, kitchen clocks, they made all kinds of things. They go back over 130 years old. This is very, very cool, again, with great Japanese inscriptions on the back, which we have yet to decipher. But because of its sheer size, we're going to estimate this one to bring $1,000 to $1,500. Probably the most expensive one of the bunch is this one made for the Scandinavian market. Very unusual, and you'll notice that a lot of military watches are black, and that's because obviously you don't want a white dial to draw any attention, especially at night. So there you have it, and we have about 200 more of these watches that we're going to be offering on our sister company Hess Fine Arts auction site soon. And if you have a military watch and want to know what it's worth or want to sell it, come and see us.